Recording. All right. So how many of us? There's 6 of us to start. All right. I have a note 6 for you guys this afternoon. If we follow the syllabus, you'd see that we're supposed to be talking about, well, not supposed to be, but we have decided that we'll talk about marketing channels this afternoon. All right, so before we have this session with Ms. Lazarus, I will just start to go through that note with you. And wherever we are at about 5:45, we'll stop and I'll switch over to my Zoom account and we'll have the second session from 6 o'clock. Any questions or queries from before?
No, sir. But the thing that you send the Labor Day with the is it Howard?
Yeah. The President of Howard.
Right. I spent some time and look at it.
You did? Okay.
Yeah, and it was very much interesting. And that concept of social engineering and so forth was very much, a little eye-opening to what CSOs and other organizations should be.
Exactly.
But I noticed that he's a very resourceful, and some of the programs that they put out in regards to getting people, to be involved and so well-rounded.
Innovative.
Yeah, it's really an eye-opener.
And you notice that my colleague, Dr. Henry, who is the principal at Cipriani, you notice he mentioned TAMCCA because
yes, yes he did.
Dr. Thomas is an alumnus of Howard. That's where he did his PhD.
Oh, okay.
And so we're using that to leverage because we had a postmortem after that meeting with the people down at Cipriani, so that they're looking at ways of twinning Howard with TAMCC, so that if you get the protocols right, there may be mechanisms where you can go straight from TAMCC into Howard, if everything works out how it should. So that's good news on the horizon as well.
Very much so. The horizon looking very bright.
Yeah. I hope you noticed he said that he's not into MOUs. He's not into signing MOUs.
Right.
That's
MOUs, one of the things, right. He said unless, everything is cleared and we decide that is, the partnership have carried balance weight, then you don't really bother with MOUs at all.
Yep. Because I know for a fact that TAMCC never signed MOU with UE, and I'm not too sure what came out of that as well. So we'll see. But this is how he was full of praise for his early education.
Yes, he was.
I thought that was interesting, and the fact that he was prepared to give back to his old primary school.
Right, and he also went ahead to state that he on his visit to different countries and so forth, he visits the different universities and other colleges and stuff, so you could get a understanding, maybe of how they function and so forth. So it was really interesting.
Yeah, it's a pretty bright guy.
Are you a past Howard person too, sir?
At all. No. I'm straight UE. Hold 1 second, please. I'm a straight Howard. I'm a straight UE all the way. Howard doesn't do tropical agriculture, so no way I could have.
That wait was very long outside that door, Who
was waiting outside long?
Me?
Glenda, you wasn't knocking hard enough. That's the problem.
Are you sure? As somebody told me the other day, are you sure you're outside the right meeting? And your microphone muted anyhow. So.
First, I was having technical difficulties, and then now I'm muted. I was having difficulties logging in at first, and then I was
Okay,
just,
okay.
good afternoon, everyone.
And that's probably because the host is in St. Vincent. Yes, I was mentioning that Karen has to judge the radio competition this evening. So
Thought he was a bit busy.
that is why he abandoned us this evening.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, Bonnie.
That why the host looking like he have on makeup so today?
Yeah. No comment. No, absolutely no comment. Until after 6.
Natisha needed to ask a question, eh?
But not only the host, the person who wasn't knocking it hard enough looked like they're taking over the host.
Exactly. It's about marketing and branding.
All you mean I ain't left, you know. I'm marketing my brand, I'm polishing my brand every day, you know, steady.
You realize that? All right, so we have what? More than 11. Cool. The numbers are ramping up, man.
And so we polishing brand just like that, you know, everywhere we go, we branding. Everywhere we go, we trending.
I realize that. Let me just check and make sure nobody's outside knocking again. All right.
Sorry, surprisingly, we got an interesting assignment for computer this week, right? Where we have to talk about the use of technology in CSO for our assignment.
Wow.
Don't worry, sir. We will handle it well. We will handle it well.
Listen, that look like someone whisper in this kettle.
Yeah, because as I said, I have to find a way for us to have use of distributed ledgers in the CSO. So there's going to be a lot of overlap between what you do in the computer course and what we are doing. So
I thought the assignment was unique and it was timely, so it was good. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
And what about creative thinking?
Critical thinking? Oh man, critical thinking is off the roof.
All right.
I'm enjoying it.
Good. So you have a good summer session going.
Yeah. Definitely. Yesterday's session was like popping. Sorry, people.
So Glenda and Natisha is speaking for themselves, not on behalf of all the members of the CSO group. Thank you.
Well, I trust when I respond, Nita, I will respond on behalf of me, because I'm sure you heard me yesterday in critical thinking class. I told Mr. Pear, I am speaking on behalf of me, and I gave my comments. Here I am also speaking on behalf of me because I'm trending, I'm branding, I'm just doing my thing.
Go Glenda, go Glenda.
Go, girl.
Okay.
Obviously having a good time. So we're going to, before I share that note with you that you will read at your leisure, hopefully somebody else is waiting outside. I'm not seeing who else is waiting outside.
You should be able to, you can open the waiting room so I can leave it open?
No, let them knock.
After I knocked in my hand, make so, you know.
Mr. Maxime.
Yes, Belinda.
Afternoon. It seems that I don't know if it's my, but your words and watching you speak is not going together. There is a lag somewhere. I don't know if it's me alone.
Oh.
Am I hearing people not paying the internet too?
Bonnie, worry man, let's sue them internet companies for delivering slow, you know.
Because
Service,
Bonnie,
you know.
ask that question like a Carl Rogers, there we.
Just remember the host is in St. Vincent.
Thank you, Kenya.
You're welcome.
So I don't know. I don't know if that's part of it, but Belinda, is it still out of sync?
Yes, it's like your mouth is moving faster than I'm hearing.
But Belinda,
Maybe
I'm
the
hearing
opposite
you
way.
kind of broken up there.
Yeah, we're beginning to
I'm
suspect.
hearing you, Belinda, broken up. So I don't know if it's probably on your end. Check your internet service. Maybe you can reload and see.
Okay, let me try phone
Gotta
instead.
take a chance to wait outside.
Because I'm hearing you good, sir. I'm hearing you good. I'm hearing everybody else good.
Yeah, I'm hearing you okay too.
Yeah.
Anybody else had any, well, anyone had concerns with the first 5 notes before we go on to note 6? Because I'll take
Sir,
silence.
I only have one request. Can you ensure that you send a recording and the notes to our email address as well, please? My phone has just run out of space.
Oh. Oh. Well, no, what you can do
I
is,
can share them if you all like, because what I do is I download it one time into my email.
Please do, Miss Sandra.
please do that, Glenda. Or you can just share the YouTube link to them because it's on YouTube as well. Eh?
Right, yeah, the link.
You don't have to
yeah.
write download. Don't download
But
it.
the emails, I put the email straight into a file.
Okay, but please.
Okay,
please
that would
get-
be nice. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else with the new computers? Sandy?
I do have a brand new video monitor. It's Logitech. It's
Bonnie,
Logitech.
I wonder how many pixels. You look pretty clear. Wow.
Yes.
How many pixels, Bonnie?
I was shocked at my handsomeness, and I thought it was something.
Marketing, sir. Wow.
Yes.
So you understand? He makes sure he got himself some pixels. The man is on his way to doing good marketing strategies. Hey, you ready for the web?
Okay.
You're back, Belinda?
I know
Yeah, I'm hearing better on the phone instead of the computer.
And
yes, you're sounding better.
Computer.
Okay.
about the notes. I need to ask about the notes. Is there any place within our going forward to discuss social entrepreneurship?
As was mentioned by the president of Howard University.
Well, I was reading today.
Okay.
You know?
All right.
I mean, it's coincidental, but it's not.
We can schedule that for next Thursday if you like.
Excellent, no problem.
Not Thursday coming, the next.
Right, the next one.
The last class or so. Second to last class.
Okay. No problem.
All right. Remind me.
Excellent.
And then weren't you supposed to remind me about something on the email?
Oh yes, I sent you something. Oh boy, let me see. Are we gonna deal with it today?
Well, I'll try.
Okay, let me.
If I remember what it was. I knew you said the email. I think Glenda was on that email as well. I'm not sure. Was it Kenya?
I don't think so.
All right. Why don't you check your email and tell me.
Is the National Anti-Corruption Hub of America. It says I have. Oh God, I'm reading Sandra's stuff.
Is it something that you posted, Vonnie? That you saw me read, Steve?
I sent to Steve and somebody else, and maybe Kenya.
I thought it was Kenya as well. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, the email forwarded from Sandra Ferguson.
Right, from Sandra Ferguson.
Yeah, I received it.
Right. It's a National Anti-Corruption Hub of America's call.
Oh yes. And I was suggesting that maybe your CSO can at least lobby to be a member of the coalition to find out what's going on. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So maybe you guys can take that up in one of your meetings. One of your CSO.
The All is for civil society organizations and social actors who have not previously submitted their request for participation.
Right.
So we have
Be part of the hub. Yeah. Yeah. So maybe can you could schedule that into your minutes of into your next meeting of the CSO interim committee or something.
Yeah, I'll write it down so that we can discuss it.
Great. Yeah. Okay. So we won't really make it a class issue. We make it a CSO issue.
Okay. No problem.
Yeah.
I have a question,
They're
Mr.
going to
Max.
send the material, right? So we can read before?
Yes.
Yeah, I will forward it.
Email with you.
I'll forward it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr.
Sorry.
Maxwell, I have a question in relation to something else.
Yeah.
In relation to this course, is there any of the courses that we have in the program, does any of it cover how government works?
In terms
or the election process?
or
how laws are passed?
Whoa, no, I don't think we get into the specifics of that.
That's fine.
What I can tell you is that any CSO with its soul would have to have an idea of how things are done in a particular country in which they operate. I mean,
that's what I think too.
I can use an external example. I mean, the constitution and the electoral process in Guyana is extremely complicated, as many of you would have found out this time around. But I remember we did a document on a training document for the electoral process in Guyana, and it is extremely complicated. It's a combination of first past the post and proportional representation, and it gets really, really complicated. And we are finding that out now with the present controversy with GCOM. GCOM is the Guyana Electoral Commission, and I know for a fact that they have been really, really, really stretched. The last president or chairman of GCOM was Dr. Steve Suraj, and I don't think this type of thing would have happened during his reign, when he was in charge of it. But the incumbent is not, well, let's just say things have gotten out of hand, and they still haven't declared a election result from that March, whenever it was election, right? So yeah, but I take a point. I will look through some of the other courses scheduled and see where I can incorporate it into the curriculum. But I can tell you that it was not part of the curriculum, original curriculum that was designed back in 2018.
Okay, I understand. But I do think it should be incorporated somehow though, even if it's an external workshop. It would be interesting to actually learn that. Because I realize, but because CSOs also have to kind of lobby some of them anyway. I think we may have to lobby.
What I can do is when we discuss advocacy in a broader sense.
Okay.
I can explain, how the lobbying and so will work. Because you remember, you're not without resources there, because even within your CSO, there are people who would have, links to both parties here in Grenada. So it shouldn't be that difficult to get a feel for, how things are done, and what the official and unofficial channels are. Because, with everything, there are official and there are unofficial channels as well. So
okay.
I know.
Is there an option? I don't know how network you guys are. Is there an option to get Dr. Timothy Antoine to do that for us?
Yeah, I mean, I know. Timothy.
He's too big.
Timothy Antoine. No, I'm not too sure if I can get him.
That is he's too big.
I thought you were talking about Patrick. I mean, we try Patrick, but I mean, no, I don't think. I don't know Dr. Antoine that. At all, not that well. I don't know him at all. I thought you were going to ask me if we could get somebody from the coalition like Sandra or so, who is seen as a social activist, to explain some of it. Because if you remember how worked during the referendum and so, that coalition did a lot to further press the government into explaining all aspects of the referendum. process, right? And Kenya, you should know that, I mean, you know, a certain United Labour Party in a certain country, you know, had a very thorough education program surrounding their own referendum back in, I think it was around 2014, 2015. So it's not beyond us. I say once you bring it up, I will find a way to fit it into the curriculum at some point. Okay.
So one person who can even give us, apart from Sandra, even Gloria Payne Banfield, she
Yeah,
can
Gloria,
give us
yeah.
a wealth of information.
And
there's also information on the net as well. Like we can pull about Gloria Payne Banfield can give us a wealth of knowledge
and
and information.
we could probably try Dr. William to Decimal as well.
Yes, indeed.
All right. So once you give me some time, and you know, and we factor which course it will more easily fit into, like the advocacy in one of the other courses coming up, then we'll be able to do it. All right, but we kind of
definitely
pack with the marketing end of it for this summer course. Yeah.
Yeah, understood.
Okay.
Yes. So great question, Kenya.
Yes. So we will deal with that. So let me just give you an inkling into what I have prepared for you, which I will share after the session today on note 6. It has to do with marketing communication channels. Is everyone hearing me? And it's from a website. I pulled it from a couple of websites and I amalgamated it for you. And it goes something like this. I'll just read the first couple of paragraphs because I think it's important to set the tone for talking about channels, and especially some of the newly available channels. And I'm really, really, really pleased that Natisha told me what the computer science lecturer or computer use lecturer is discussing with you, because none of the modern CSOs are going to be able to operate without understanding a lot about the new and developing technologies that are internet-based and distributed ledger-based online. And I'm glad that he or she brought it up, and I will find ways to incorporate it into what we're doing, including this marketing course, because I plan to talk about that next week. This Thursday, sorry. That's why I put Vonnie's stuff off to next week, Thursday. All right. So the note that I'm giving you starts off like this. Before the internet became a popular marketing communications channel, traditional media channels such as newspapers, magazines, radio, television, direct mail, and the old favorite, the yellow pages were the only options. I mean, you know, I'm not sure how many of you remember yellow pages, as in the actual yellow pages in the back of the actual directory.
I still have one I can bring for you too if you like.
Well, I don't know if anybody else really takes
I
that.
remember.
I mean, you know, that is like asking people about rotary phones, I mean, dial phones, you know, where you actually, you know, went wrong.
I don't know about the dial phone, but I know about pay phone.
Well, so clearly, you know, that is something from the dinosaur era. So developing a marketing communications channel strategy for your business was simpler then, obviously. It was probably based on your marketing budget and what your business could afford. Notice how everything we talk about, I mean, always comes back around. Yeah? That ability to define and even calculate what your budget can be or should be is going to be central to all of your strategies. Okay? So it was probably based on your marketing budget and what your business could afford. When the internet became a viable marketing communications channel, it leveled the playing field for smaller businesses to compete in a much larger market. Now that is a term I absolutely do not like to hear. And I'm going to spend a little time to digress on that. All of you who are accustomed using that that phrase, leveling the playing field, that is absolutely a waste of time in my opinion. Because
So it sounds like destruction to me.
leveling the playing field is not what makes the difference. What makes the difference is knowing the rules. And for all of my GFA colleagues, you know, the Michaels and the Janets and all the other people who are involved in football in Grenada, let me just give you an example of what leveling the playing field and playing on a level field is all about. Success is determined by a knowledge of the rules. Listen to me carefully. It is determined by a knowledge of the rules and not only about the fact that the playing field is level. Because you can have a level playing field and still literally get wiped out because you don't understand the rules and you don't understand what compliance really means. And the example I always use is the example of the Trinidad and Tobago football team in the Gold Cup of probably 2006 or 2007, in which we were playing the US, right? And it's the home and away games for the Gold Cup. Those of you familiar with football, you know, football competitions. And we had our away match. What is the first things the Americans did? They scheduled a match for Colorado. They looked for the coldest venue they could find. Just to make carefully, the coldest venue they could find. We got a level playing field. You know? They didn't interfere with the playing field at all. You know? So we still get a level playing field. But they understood the rules that said, you know, you get to decide where you play. When we play matches in Trinidad, because the TTFA is looking to make money and score points and have a big crowd, they put it for late in the evening when people leave work and things, when we should really be playing them midday in the hot sun to burn them little white boys in the States, you know, and kill them out. We never did that, although it was part of the rules, it's allowed in the rules. We gave them a nice level playing field and we play them in the evening, 6 o'clock when it's nice and cool, and them Americans will cut with tail religiously because of that. So that's the first part. All right, so the return match was in Colorado. Okay, we're coming up to the end of the session. So I'm going to hold 1 second. See if Karen is coming up. I think Karen is joining us. I'm seeing if he's inside as yet. Karen, are you with us as yet? No, it was probably just on my personal WhatsApp.
Sir is not inside, but he sent a link.
Oh, he sent a link for the new
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's probably it. Okay, so when we crash out on this Vincentian Zoom, we will go to our traditional stolen Zoom account from Karen. Yeah, so coming back to the Americans and the football now and the level playing field. So we end up in Colorado in a real cool venue, right? So they had the edge there. Okay. And then the rules say that you can wet the field overnight if you want to. So what the Americans did, they let the Trinidadians practice on the field the day before. Nice, hard, firm ground. Everybody turned up for the match with their soft pegs, and the Americans wet the field the night before. And we were sliding and slipping all over this level playing field, all because we didn't understand the rules, we didn't understand the rules and regulations and what compliance really means. So every time I hear level playing field, I get very worried that there's this false sense of security, if you like, or fairness, just because it's a level playing field. Level playing field don't mean one thing. It's the same. I have the same reaction to saying that we're all in this together. We're in the same boat. We ain't in the same boat at all. we're facing the same rough seas, but some of us in luxury liners, the rest of you holding on to a tank, you know, from some little raft or dinghy out there. So I just want to make that point. When we start using these examples and these little catchphrases, that we don't get carried away, that once they provide a level playing field, all will not be well. All right? Good. So sorry.
But so I think most contexts it's used as like a figure of speech, because it's not that the playing field is level. It's just that it is a better competition for the other team.
I don't mind.
They would see it as a competition they probably may stand to get a better chance of, because there's no way they could have won that match if they didn't do all these things.
Well, let me show you the opposite to that. I don't care if the field sloping this way. Once I know the rules, I know that it's in two halves, and there's going to be a half when we are kicking down, and there's a half when we're going to be kicking up. So if the field level or unlevel, once I know the rules, I think that's the crucial thing, is to know the rules and what you're allowed to do and what you can literally get away with, and what compliance really means. Because a lot of people in this part of the world, and this is something that is very important for those of us who are in CSOs, we keep thinking that compliance is just blind obedience. Compliance is not that. You can comply with a law only if you understand the law, all right? And a lot of times we get carried away by thinking that to comply means to just be subjected to the law in its entirety. Compliance has to do with your understanding of the law and being able to interpret it, so that what things that we don't get away with at the World Trade Organization, let's say. There's some things in the Blue Book. There's a document called the Blue Book, which gives small island states a lot of leverage, a lot of wiggle room. You're still complying with some of their world trade regulations, but they give you wiggle room because they recognize you have a unique circumstance being a small island. And sometimes a lot of the technocrats or the people who go to those meetings don't take the time to read it. When they go to Geneva, they want to go to Geneva to sightsee, and they don't really sit down into the meetings and take a good hard look at what's really going on. All right. So I just thought I would spend a little time on that, because I said it's something that bothers me, and it's a mindset that if you get into it, you can easily get carried away by these little maxims, these little sayings, that it's a level playing field, so then everything will be all right. No, everything's not all right once it's a level playing. It's when you have a level playing field where you know the rules. Like everything else, there are rules that govern your operation, and you have to know them. Same thing with your response to COVID-19. It says you have to wear a mask in public. What does that really mean? What does that really mean? When I'm outside exercising at 5:30 in the morning, I'm not wearing a mask. And I'm not breaking the law either. But that wasn't the intention. When you understand what the rules, you need to be in contact with people, other people, then you want to wear a mask to protect yourself and to protect them, right? But if I'm out there in Fort Judy by myself and I ain't wearing a mask, if I'm in my own motor car, I'm not wearing a mask. And if I'm in a car with somebody who lives in the same household with me, I'm not wearing a mask either. Because that is not really complying with the law. That is just blindly listening to the phrase and hearing, wear a mask, wear a mask. But there are obviously circumstances under which you don't have to, right? Or you can make the choice not to and still be compliant with the law. All right? Any other further questions, comments? All right, let me get back to note number 5. Remember, once we cut off from here, I will go on to the account that Karen shared with us, left with us, okay? People?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So you're going to wait until it cuts out?
Well, maybe I should just transfer now then. Okay, thanks, Ken.
Yeah, it only have 3 minutes left, so.
Okay, let me cut off now. Okay.
All
right, guys, let me end this, and while we're recording, I will set up the new one and send the link to Ms. Lazarus, who is probably waiting, you know, outside another meeting hall on us. Okay, guys? So sign off now.